Of all Jesus' parables, the sower reveals the deepest insights about spiritual growth. This isn't just a story about farming, it's a divine blueprint showing how God's word takes root and grows in human hearts. Jesus himself explained this parable in detail, marking its special significance for understanding spiritual development. Consider how Jesus introduced this teaching. Sitting in a boat, addressing crowds on the shore. The setting itself carried meaning. Like seeds scattered broadly, his words went out to all types of hearers. Some would bear fruit, others wouldn't. The parable explained why. 4 types of soil represent 4 heart conditions. Yet these aren't permanent states, but stages we might experience in different seasons. Understanding these soil types helps us diagnose and improve our spiritual receptivity. Each element of the parable carries specific meaning. The sower represents anyone spreading God's word. The seed is the word itself, unchanging in quality regardless of where it lands. The soils represent different heart conditions affecting how the word is received. The fact that Jesus explained this parable privately to his disciples suggests its deeper importance. While other parables remained mysterious to the crowds, he ensured his followers grasped this one's full meaning. It provides essential understanding about spiritual growth. Notice how the parable addresses both internal and external factors affecting spiritual growth. Some barriers come from within, hardness of heart, shallow roots. Others come from without, birds stealing seed, thorns choking growth. Understanding these dynamics helps us protect and nurture spiritual life. The progression of soils shows hope for improvement. With proper preparation and care, any soil type can become good ground. This reveals spiritual growth as a process, not just an event. The first soil type, the wayside or path, represents hardened hearts where God's word can't penetrate. Like ground packed down by constant traffic, some hearts become hardened by repeated exposure without response. The seed remains on the surface, vulnerable to being stolen away. Satan's immediate action to steal the word reveals its power. The enemy doesn't bother attacking what's ineffective. His quick response to remove God's word shows its potential impact if allowed to take root. Understanding this helps us guard against immediate dismissal of truth. The rocky ground represents emotional hearers, those who receive the word with immediate joy but lack depth for sustained growth. Their initial enthusiasm masks the absence of real root development. When trials come, what seemed like strong faith quickly withers. This soil teaches us about the danger of superficial faith. Emotional responses, while natural, can't substitute for deep root development. True spiritual growth requires more than surface acceptance. It needs depth that only comes through testing and development. Temperature changes affect shallow-rooted plants most severely. Similarly, those without spiritual depth can't withstand the heat of trials or the cold of disappointment. Their faith depends on favorable conditions that won't last. Jesus' emphasis on roots reveals the hidden dimension of spiritual growth. While we often focus on visible fruit, he highlights the importance of unseen development. The strongest growth happens underground, away from public view. Many modern church practices cater to rocky soil Christians, emphasizing immediate response over root development. Understanding this parable helps us avoid mistaking emotional reaction for genuine growth. The thorny ground reveals another subtle danger: divided attention. Unlike the previous soils where growth failed quickly, here the word takes root, but gradually gets choked out. The thorns represent life's distractions, worries, wealth, and wants that compete for our attention. Jesus specifically identified 3 types of thorns: the cares of this world, the deceitfulness of riches, and desires for other things. Notice how these aren't necessarily sinful. They're normal life concerns that can gradually overwhelm spiritual priorities. The danger lies in slow strangulation. Thorns don't kill plants immediately. They gradually rob them of nutrients and sunlight. Similarly, worldly concerns often slowly suffocate spiritual life through divided attention and depleted energy. This soil warns about the subtle compromise of divided devotion. Many believers maintain religious activity while their spiritual vitality gradually diminishes. The word remains present but unfruitful, choked by competing priorities. Modern life multiplies these thorns. Technology constantly demands attention. Social media creates endless comparison. Financial pressures increase anxiety. Understanding this helps us intentionally protect space for spiritual growth. Jesus' solution isn't complete withdrawal from life, but proper prioritization. Like a gardener clearing space around valuable plants, we must actively protect our spiritual growth from choking influences. The gradual nature of this danger requires constant vigilance. We must regularly examine our lives for creeping thorns that threaten to choke spiritual vitality. The good soil represents hearts fully receptive to God's word. Here the seed not only survives, but thrives, producing a harvest that multiplies the original investment. This soil combines proper reception with sustained growth and eventual reproduction. Jesus described 3 levels of fruitfulness: 30, 60, and 100-fold. Even the lowest yield represents significant multiplication. This shows that while all believers should bear fruit, the amount may vary based on capacity and circumstances. The characteristics of good soil include depth for roots, freedom from thorns, and proper cultivation. This represents hearts that are receptive, protected, and properly prepared for spiritual growth. Such preparation isn't accidental, but intentional. Good soil requires constant maintenance. Weeds must be removed, nutrients added, moisture maintained. Similarly, maintaining spiritual receptivity requires ongoing attention to heart conditions that affect growth. Understanding these soil conditions helps diagnose our spiritual state. Are we experiencing hardness in some areas, shallow response in others? Competing influences choking growth? Self-examination leads to improved receptivity. The parable reveals growth as both divine and human responsibility. While only God gives increase, we're responsible for soil condition. We can't produce growth, but we can create conditions that promote it. Notice how good soil produces a progressive harvest. First the blade, then the head, then the full grain. This reveals spiritual growth as a process requiring patience and proper expectations. The multiplication principle revealed in good soil shows God's intended pattern. Every seed that reaches maturity produces more seeds. Similarly, mature spiritual growth naturally leads to reproducing faith in others. This reproductive aspect often gets overlooked. Many focus on personal growth while missing God's plan for multiplication. Understanding this helps us move from mere consumers to producers in God's kingdom. Different yields suggest varying capacities and callings. Some produce 30-fold, others 60 or 100. This removes unhealthy comparison while maintaining the expectation of fruitfulness. Every believer should multiply, though not all at the same rate. The timing of harvest requires patience. No farmer expects immediate results after sowing. Similarly, spiritual growth follows natural development patterns that can't be rushed but can be nurtured. Jesus' careful explanation of this parable shows its practical importance. He wanted believers to understand both the process and potential of spiritual growth. This knowledge helps us cooperate with God's growth plan. The universal application makes this parable especially relevant. Everyone receives God's word as one of these soil types. Understanding this helps us identify and improve our receptivity. This parable uniquely combines warning and encouragement. While showing what hinders growth, it also reveals the potential for incredible multiplication when God's word finds good soil. Understanding this parable transforms how we approach spiritual growth. We become more intentional about soil preparation, more vigilant against growth inhibitors, more patient with development processes. The principles apply both personally and in ministry. Those sharing God's word understand why some reject it while others flourish. This prevents discouragement while maintaining proper expectations about responses. For churches, this parable provides crucial ministry insight. Different programs and approaches may be needed for different soil types. Some need basic groundbreaking, others need deeper root development, while others need protection from choking influences. The parable retains relevance across cultures and times. Whether in first century Palestine or modern society, these same soil conditions affect spiritual growth. Understanding them helps us navigate contemporary challenges to faith development. Modern applications might include examining how technology affects our receptivity to God's Word, identifying current thorns that choke spiritual growth, or developing strategies for deeper root development in an instant gratification culture. Has understanding this parable changed how you approach spiritual growth? What soil condition best describes your current state? Share your insights in the comments below. Your perspective might help others identify and improve their own spiritual receptivity. Join our growing community at Blessed by Jesus for more biblical insights that transform daily life. Let's cultivate good soil together, creating conditions where God's Word can produce its intended harvest. May we all become good soil, not just receiving God's Word, but allowing it to produce its full harvest in our lives and through us to others.